Hello, my friends. Jacob is here once again. Thank you for pressing play. Thanks for coming back after I was like a little baby. Oh, I was all in tears and I was so sad in my last video. So many of you reached out. You said such wonderful things. You were so kind, so generous. And I knew I needed to share the show because I knew that, look, it was a great message. You know, the reason I responded to a lot of people, I didn't do anything in the comment section, just so you know. I didn't like anything, or I usually do. But on that video, for some, I just, I felt weird about the whole thing. And I didn't want anybody to think that I wasn't, very happy. Life is good, right? Life is good. Sometimes it gets difficult. And see, the way God's worked with me in my life is He's always made things very apparent that I can't handle it on my own, right? Like it always seems like there are these great obstacles that are presented before me, no matter where I go. And I always have to learn something through it. There's always a lesson that I learn. And the reason why I really was really so sad in my last video was really because I wasn't really trusting in God. And when I heard those words, who are you, right? Who are you? Sitting there all upset. I understood. It's not about me. I understood that even the adversity that I seem to be facing, and there's more than just that one little thing. By the way, as you found out, it all worked out in the end. Chila made her decision. Now, I want to tell you something. I want to be very frank with you, is that I trust God in all areas, and whatever she decided, I was okay with. She's 17. I could have told her no. I could have told her yes. She's a young girl. She was smart. She made the right decision. We're going to save a lot of money. That's not why I'm here today, to tell you how everything's gravy and everything worked out. And I didn't have to force it. I just left it in God's hands. It's that yet again at work, there was, people throughout the history of, my career. I've been working a long time, since I was a young kid, right? Because my mom was young. We weren't wealthy. She's an 18-year-old single mother when she first had me. I worked all the way up from when I was young. I was pumping gas at like 13. And today you're not allowed. But and everywhere I worked, it was always seemed to be when I got a little more mature, when I grew up a little bit more, and when I found my faith. Because God always blessed where I was, and I was always diligent. I always wanted to be the best because I felt like, it was a blessing to have the job, whatever it was. So I always wanted to play by, the rules and overcome and be a great achiever. And that bothers a lot of people, especially when God has His hand on your life and you're succeeding in everything you do. So you have a lot of people that aren't doing things right, that aren't being upright, that aren't walking morally, that are walking according to the way of this world, the manner of this world. And they talk about you, and they backbite, and they try to make your life hard. And we're talking about supervisors as well. Now, when I was in television, it was like, this is the reason why God, I'm thankful, moved me away from all the goofiness. Right? It didn't matter if I was at the WWE. It didn't matter if I was in Christian TV. It didn't matter if I took over another sports entertainment show. No matter where I went, and no matter how blessed they were. Right, like after I left the WWE, true story. They were getting beat by WCW. I came in, God blessed my, couple of years that I was there, 99, 2001, blessed it. And their ratings soared. And Vince bought WCW. And the day that I left, literally within a short period of time, like less than a month, they lost about half of their audience. Never came back. That's 20 years to go. And we see where the product is right now. Once again, God has His promise to us. He says, I'll bless those that bless you and I'll curse those that curse you. If you're walking according to the manner of this world, you're not going to be doing all right when the judgment of God comes. Trust me. Because when I don't walk according, when I walk in fear, this is painful. I cry like a little baby on YouTube sometimes. Even when I went to work for, the Christian television network, the largest, the fastest, the best. When I came in, it was... everybody was they were a little jealous of me, and they kept throwing me curveballs. And the more curveballs they would throw, like an editor that wasn't that good, and give me deadlines that weren't really attainable. And every time, the Lord provides. And every time, and I remember that first project that I was given, and I knew that the people that were above me, my supervisors, they wanted me to fail because they felt threatened by me because they didn't make it in the real world, right? Just like when I was working there, the people were threatened by me there as well. So it was always, because the ratings, no matter where I was, the ratings were always just on point. So I always faced some kind of persecution. Like when I was at WWE, it would be, now back then I used to smoke, by the way. It was terrible. I grew up with a bunch of smokers. I quit. Just so you know, you can quit too. One day, boom, I tried everything. I tried the patches, I tried the this, I tried that. It never worked. But one day, after prayer, finally one day, just stopped and it was done. I never did it again. It's been many, many moons now. And as long as I don't go back, I don't have an issue. But back then, I was so sick, I was so stressed, I was under a lot of pressure. I was the oddball reading the Bible on the plane where everybody thought I was crazy, right? I remember I'd go out and sneak a cigarette, and then I'd come back and there'd be like an ashtray filled with cigarettes on top of my laptop in my office. It was like, it was stupid, these little ribs that they played. But I've experienced this everywhere I've worked, everywhere. So much so that when the Lord took me out and brought me into just, normal everyday thing, I went back full circle. I went back to full circle what I did before TV. And of course I thrived there. Of course, no matter where I was placed, no matter what I did, of course I thrived because the Lord was, he had his hand on my life. Jacob, he was a shepherd, right? It didn't matter. The flocks grew and Laban knew this. See, that's the irony is the people that'll treat you poorly, they know that they know that you have a blessing because they know that the money that you bring in or the ratings you bring in, and it's hard for them to let you go. But every step of the way, people, I used to think I was persecuted. I used to have like this persecution, like, I don't get it, Lord. I remember, I could tell you when I was younger, I would lay prostrate on the floor. True story. Lay down, flat on the floor, totally humbled to God. That's what, in scripture, that's what, men of God and women of God would do. When they felt like they were totally humbled. They knew that they needed God's help and they cried out because no matter how hard I tried, it was always an issue, right? Balaam's donkey. That's what it is. Balaam's donkey. And I had and here I am. I'm about to be 50 years old. By the way, I have a great show. Yeah, this show that's coming up about the eclipse. Really, I can't wait to share it because there's just so much. And it makes a lot of sense that today people like you and me are going to face persecution. I'm used to it. I'm used to it. But you see, here's the irony, and this is what I learned today. Because see, Jacob, when he worked for Laban is, I sometimes compare it to the religious system, but really Laban is, the world system, and you're kind of your lot in life. I can't tell you how many times my wages have been changed, right? Or how many times people like switch things around to try to frustrate me to get me to, to whatever. And many times I've cried foul and I've spoken out and I said, this is wrong, this is immoral, and I'm being abused. I never went to human resources on anyone. I never reported anyone. I never tried to get anyone fired. I never did. But I was always honest about how I was feeling and I was always honest about what they were doing, which was wrong. Now, you would think that all of that nonsense stuff would only exist in like television or high pressure places. It doesn't. It's normal stores too, retail stores, right? So could be a restaurant, right? Could be a chain restaurant, could be a bookstore. It doesn't matter the job. There's that spirit always in the world at work. The adversary spirit, the adversarial spirit. So, I'm saying all this because Laban changed Jacob's wages many times. And I got to tell you, with this job that I've been with now I'm a 10-year veteran there. That's going to be 10 years now. I've always been just the absolute, I've always been the best. I've always been, no matter where I went, I always succeeded. And I always did everything exactly the way it was, with excellence and with passion and with integrity, which is sorely lacking, especially in my field, especially in the district of people that I am connected to. Now, I have over the years, my schedule continues to change. You can work, because I work 4 days a week. you can work 4 days a week, but you can't work on this day. Okay, even though I was working on that day at the time, so I change. Then a year later, I'll succeed, I'll do great, people will look at me, they will be envious of me and what the Lord is doing in my life. And they'll say, he shouldn't be able to work on that day because that day he's doing so well and we did so poorly. He's only 4 days a week. He shouldn't have to work that day. So then today, and I'm saying this to you because this is ironic. Today I find out, you have one thing that's difficult, another thing that's difficult. No one wants to be persecuted. No one wants to be abused. No one wants to be talked about. That's the big thing. You've heard me talk about it. It hurts my feelings. People make fun of me. It hurts my feelings. People say, oh, he's out there. Right? And I only share my heart and I only try to encourage people. I spend my time trying to lift people up. Sharing the light, if you will, the light of Christ. And you would think that they would look at the success that I've had. You would think that they would look at the life that I've led and that perhaps they would believe, but they don't believe today. A lot of people don't believe that. You believe. You're here. And this is why I'm encouraging all of you to understand that you have power with God. Don't feel powerless, because today, for an instant, I felt powerless, felt angry, I felt set upon. I found out that my schedule had changed once again. Now, here's what's ironic. Because the day that they said I can no longer work on, and then gave me another day, which takes me away from one area of my life, but gives me a little better area of my life over here, was what Danielle wanted. But I knew that they weren't going to give me that day because, I used to have that day and they said I had to work until they complained. And now all of a sudden, my schedule has changed once again. Doesn't matter that I'm the top guy, the best, always have been. Doesn't matter that I, even clean the bathrooms. I clean the toilets. When I vacuum, I leave the lines in the rug. Excellence. Because God's given me this job, and that job has been a blessing to me. That's where I tweaked the novel, which, by the way, I think right? I mean, this novel, if you don't know anything about the novel, you should. And in the next show, I'm going to share some things that doesn't make sense. Here I'm looking at this, and I was about to get upset, and I texted my district manager, who is my friend. And I know he cares about me. I feel like he cares about me. And he knows that I care about him because with the stuff that I've endured over the years, oh my goodness gracious. It'd be easy to sue companies. Easy with what I've endured. But that's not me. Because I know, just like I knew in the video before that I cried on, Esau the adversary sometimes is God. When Balaam was on his donkey, when he was going a certain direction, he thought he was doing God's work. And the donkey kept making his life hard, kept moving over. You ever have that happen? You're going to cut the grass, the lawnmower won't start. Whoa, what the heck's going on? But you don't realize that the whole time, it's God right there, orchestrating the whole thing. And so what changed and what upset me at first, and where my, because this is the snake hanging from the tree, the reptile, right? The reptilian brain, fight or flight. You get that, something happens, and then those negative thoughts, right? Those negative thoughts, those lies, those demons, they jump in. How dare they? Look at them. They're attacking you. Look at what they do. This is it. They should pay. Go take some. No, contact human resources. All these thoughts go through the head. But God's not in all that nonsense, right? He's in that small, still, silent voice that comes after. And the voice said, that's the day that Danielle wants you to be hanging with her. Now you get to spend more time with the Dan. Your best buddy, your best friend, the person you love more than anything. And your children, right? In a different way. I love them all so much. I'm the most blessed man around. The most blessed man around. Though persecuted be I. But if I can't handle this little nonsense at work, because here's the irony, what'll happen, because it always does happen. The quicker I learn my lesson, the quicker I get spit out of the fish, and I get to go and continue to do what I was doing. Come on, guys, ask for the truth. because it's not going to be good if you don't. The quicker you pass the test, the quicker you have a testimony to give. Like I could have gone off, gotten into a fight with my good friend for how long? I could have threatened. I could have done all sorts of things. I could have made my life hard. I could have quit. And I love my job. I really do. I love helping people. But I didn't do that. I learned from the last time. See, when we have these, it's like, are you going to learn your lesson? When people come against you, what the enemy wants to use to harm you, God uses for good. Because guess what? God's in control of everything. Job couldn't have been tested by Satan. Job couldn't have been put through what he was put through until God said, it's all right. Job needs to learn something. Jacob needs to learn something. And I'm learning. And I'm grateful for it. I want to share that with you. So no matter what you're facing, when people are coming against you, when they're hurting you, when they're making fun of you, when they're doing things, when people are talking bad about you, don't get angry and try to, spit out all your facts. This is why you should believe what I believe. This is why I'm not crazy. Don't do any of that. Just know your audience. Know your audience. The Lord will give you those to talk to. When you're meant to talk to people, they'll come to you and they'll listen. You don't got to force the truth on anyone. The people that are around me, I sow the seed. Some of it falls among good earth. Some of it falls among thorns. Some of it falls among rocky places. Seems to me at my place of employment and a lot of places, a lot of rocky places. So let's be like that good soil. And let's let the tree of life grow within us so that it shelters many, 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 many people in the future. We got a lot of great things coming, people. A lot of great things coming. I want to thank you all so much for being so kind, so generous with your insights and your kind words to me. It was so nice. And I'm sorry if it made you a little uncomfortable, but you know what? I felt like I needed to show you that, and I do that a lot. I'm a big baby, to be honest. But this is the way the Lord has made me, and I like who the Lord has made me to be. And I really like the fact that I'm starting to catch on, because there's power in that. I was like, oh, no problem. This is what we're going to do. It's going to be fine. Now this Saturday, I'm going to have a great time with the Dan. Listen, I love each and every one of you. Look out for that next video. If you want to read like just an awesome story that is more than you'll ever imagine until you read it, it's like a bingeable Netflix series, The Calling. It's going to be something big. You're going to find out in the next video. I got something that, probably you all don't know about yet, but it's going to make everybody's going to get fired up. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say, because we need some good news. We need some good news. I love each and every one of you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Click it.